All right, here we go. You got to hit record. You got to hit record first, and then you start streaming it. Then I'll tweet it. Hopefully, it won't be garbled like that anymore. That was strange.
Very strange.
It's weird. It's weird having you right here.
So close.
I feel
to you?
like, yeah. It's kind of like you're invading my
your personal space.
Personal space over there, and I feel like I can't look exactly at you.
That's the only negative. Is that
like when you were right
nice
there,
angle.
you were over there.
Should I move?
No, because I mean we got your shot set up.
No.
I just can't look at you.
Don't look at me.
I can't look
like
at you.
Medusa.
No, but look how much better you look at the camera. It's a better shot.
Yeah, it is.
Everything's better.
I like that.
About that.
I got my stealth headphones on.
Yeah,
so
I mean
clear,
it's
you wouldn't even know.
it's
Where
way
they
better.
go. There.
Look at how much better that is. Your shot's better. You look better.
Not a monster.
But see, look at my shot if I'm looking over at you. See that?
It's not the worst, but it's it's not great.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the payoff is look at that. See now that because the people will talk about that on the show once I better start the show.
Start it up.
I will start recording. All right. I don't even know what day it is. March 2nd. All right. Monday, March 2nd. You ready?
Yes, the guest has not accepted yet, but I will get him to do that.
Yeah, well, he won't be here if he doesn't accept. It's all right. Well, we'll call him out on it. Tell me when he accepts.
I will give
All
you
right.
some sort of visual notification, probably
Yeah.
a thumbs up.
Yeah. This is the Dan Benjamin Hour for Monday, March 2nd, 2015. I am Dan Benjamin, and there's you know what? There's some interesting news today. I'm pleased. Because it's not a news show per se, but you know, when there are interesting things to talk about, we'll talk about them. You know, there's no rules here, things we can and can't talk about. Over the weekend, there was this thing called the Mobile World Conference. Is that right?
Mobile World Congress.
Congress, rather. Which is, you know what, that's for the Android folks to go and talk about. And what happens in this Mobile World Congress. Hattie hard at work getting our guests lined up, hopefully. They go and they talk about Android things. So that one of the things that they talked about today that was great is this watch. And I believe it's pronounced Huawei. Huawei?
I think
Watch.
Andy told you how to say it today.
Yes, he did. He took me to school and explained to me how to say it. Huawei watch. It is a beautiful, beautiful watch. This is the watch that I've always wanted my whole life. And they're making it. And if you watch this promo for it, it's very dramatic. And look, there's an ad coming up as usual. But when it's back, I'll switch back to that feed. But this is a watch that looks like a real watch. You know, I'm wearing a real watch. This is a Timex. It's about $30 on Amazon. And it's a wonderful watch. It's round. It keeps the time. And that's basically what I want from a watch, Hattie. I mean, does that seem reasonable?
It does. It seems reasonable.
I want it to look like a watch. I want it to act like a watch. Here's a nice video by The Verge where they're there at this amazing conference and they're talking about this watch that everybody's been talking about because it looks beautiful and it looks unlike what you would think of as an Android watch. I talked with Andy at some length this morning. This looks like a classic,
it's
gorgeous
Mm-hmm.
watch. I want to wear this watch, not just because it has these cool features, but because it's a nice watch to wear. Everybody's talking about wearables. And this is the kind of wearable that, for me, if you're watching it with video, you can see this. This is exactly the kind of watch that I want to own. It looks like a nice watch. Oh, and by the way, it can give you notifications too. Well, that's cool.
Right.
It knows where you are. Neat. It can remind you of an appointment. Cool. But it's at the end of the day, this thing is a watch. And I want it to be a watch. That's what I want out of a watch, is to be a watch. That's what I want out of this phone. I want it to be a phone.
The notifications on the watch are secondary.
Yeah. It also does this other cool stuff. Oh, he
Yes.
that was Hattie's just doing the big thumbs up there. That means our guest has responded. So I can announce who
You
it's
may
going to be.
announce, yes.
Russell Brand.
I think it's
Is
a
that-
different Russell.
It's a different Russell. What's his name?
Russell Holly.
Russell Holly, amazing writer over at Android Central, is going to be here to explain to me why I want an Android phone. He's going to convince me that I need an Android phone. On Wednesday of this week, we're not going to be doing our show, and the reason that we're not going to be doing it is I'm going to be in Atlanta giving a keynote talk at Startup Riot, which is going to be fun. And I was just doing Back to Work with Merlin Mann, and he told me that I should do slides. And I feel like I want to be a renegade and Hattie, and not do any slides.
No slides?
No slides. I think I want to do no slides at all. Just they can put up a blue background or something behind me, and I can go up there and I can just be myself, because I feel limited by slides. He asked me to listen. He asked me to come and talk.
Yes, very true. Your talk is going to be your
He
talk.
asked me to come and talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it my way. Look at all the notes I have for today's show here.
Right.
This is unusual that I'm this prepared. I feel like you're sitting really low in your chair. Can your chair can your chair
Ooh.
go up anymore?
No, I'm a nice tall lady.
Now you're tall.
Now I have to fix
Now you're
this.
shot. Yeah, see, and you look better in your primary shot. So one complaint I've heard about this show already, and by the way, thanks to everybody who's rating the show. I just want to say okay, first let me get my request out of the way. My first request is, right now, pull your car over to the side of the road right now. Do you see this growth of beard that I have right here, Hattie? Do you see that?
I see it, yes.
This is called, all I've been doing is working on the show. That's all I do now.
Do you see these bags under my eyes?
Yeah. Yeah, that's more than usual for you.
Yeah.
All I do is work on this show. All weekend long, there's a new dbh.fm website that I put together that I'm going to be trying. I was trying to get it launched today. I might have to, finish it tomorrow while I'm en route to Atlanta. But it's basically done. Don't you feel like it's basically done now?
Yeah.
The site? Okay. So I got that done.
It looks great.
All I ask of you folks, besides like checking out our sponsor, Hattie, you didn't draw anything up on the blackboard.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
Is just trying to get this thing out of the door. Get this site done. Make this show the best it can be. Make this show the best show that anyone's ever heard. Because I think it can. I mean, we get Russell Brand. How many podcasts have Russell Brand on there? This is a big show. This is a big deal. And so I'm working very hard on this. Working all weekend on the new site. Working long and hard on making this room better. We're constantly redoing the shots. And then what do I get on Twitter? People come to me and they're like, you know what? I can't listen to your show. It's too much. I'm not going to listen every day. I can't listen to the show every day. That's an hour a day. I can't do that. Well, what I'm going to have to do for people like that is, like, when we have Russell Brand on the show, instead of making you listen to the whole show, what they wanted me to segment it out. So I'll take just the Russell Brand interview, and I'll put the Russell Brand interview on YouTube, and maybe even have a separate feed, so that the 10 minutes of the show where we have Russell Brand on the show, he can, you could just listen to that. Just get that. You don't have to listen to the whole show. So that's what that's what they want, then that's what I'm going to do. I have to give the people what they want. So we're going to split out some feeds. We're going to have a lot of alternate feeds. I don't know how to get to do that exactly. I'm going to have to write some code. What's over there that you're doing?
I was putting the markers away. They were there. And
the markers for the blackboard.
Yeah.
So for those who don't watch the show on video, you should give it a try.
You're
because
missing out.
We've got a nice set here. You can see what was it that they said? They said they were watching just because of how handsome I am.
Yeah.
That's my kind of listener. I want to send that person a mug or something.
I feel like we should.
Anyway, what we have here is we have built this video set. So we'd like for you to tune in live, and we'd like for you to watch the videos live. And you can do that by going to dbh.fm. That's going to be the home for the show. It's still going to be a broadcast on 5x5. We'll still do things there. But the reality is dbh.fm, that's the place for the show. We're going to be comments. It's going to be it's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best website, and this is the best show. So enough about that. If you want to help out the show, obviously patreon.com/5x5. Yes, please help there. But just rating the show. I want everyone to go and rate the show. Obviously, to me, this is a 5-star show because it's the best. This is the best show on the internet. I believe that. So I need you to go and share your support take 5 minutes on iTunes and rate the show. That's how it rises in the rankings. That's how we can get listeners. We can get listeners by you helping. You pull your car over to the side of the road and
Yes,
rate the show.
Don't rate and drive.
No, you got to pull over or do it at a stoplight. But rate the show. That's number one. And B, I need your help getting a YouTube. I need to get Dan Benjamin an hour or DBH or something like that for the YouTube channel, Hattie.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they do that, I've got his bio ready to go. The way to do that
nice.
is I have to get 500 subscribers to my YouTube channel to get that custom URL. 500 people. I've got 300 now.
Yeah.
But the URL, you want to hear it? The URL, it's insane. I'm not even signed in on this computer, but it's insane. It's characters. It's a million different characters and letters. It's crazy. And in order to get Dan Benjamin hour or DB hour or something like that, you need to have 500 subscribers. Well, I'm at 300 something. So I asked on Twitter, and some dude said on Twitter, he's like, all you need to do is ask on the show, and you'll get the rest of the way. So I'm asking you, if you use YouTube, I don't know what that means to subscribe to a channel. I don't know what that means. But please subscribe to the... What does that mean, Hattie?
I think it's when you, like, if you are a YouTube user...
Yeah.
And you open up your profile
Uh-huh.
or something,
Yeah.
it shows the things that you've subscribed to so that you can follow people's
Is
channels.
it equivalent to your wall, then? Is it like your Facebook wall?
Kind of, but it's also
You
kind
look
of...
like you're in a military... It looks like a military shirt that you're wearing.
It's green. It's from Banana Republic.
But I mean, it's got like that military vibe to it, which I like. I mean, it's a compliment.
Is it the buttons or is it the
I don't know what it
pockets?
is, but you look very, and you have had an attitude today of kind of like
Getting
cracking
stuff done.
the whip because you're going to Atlanta too.
I am. Gotta prep
you're
for next
in
year.
training for next year. When
Mhm.
we'll see if we can get. Anyway, I'm so excited to have Russell Brand on the show. But before we do that, I've got to thank a sponsor. I love how you're doing a great job of booking sponsors. So I just want to tell you that. Audible is our first sponsor today. Super happy to have these folks because I read a lot. I don't read anywhere near as much as I should, as much as I used to. And these days, what I find I want to do is I'm on the go. You know that? I'm on the go. I'm driving around, and I'm not able to read like I want to, but I can listen to stuff. I find that I have time while I'm driving to listen. Sometimes in bed at night, you know what? How do you just want to be read to? Don't you like to be read to?
I always like to be
You like
read
to be
to.
tucked in
Uh-huh.
and hear a little story. That's, Audible, you get to hear the most amazing books read by either one of two things, either a professional voice person
Right.
or by the author themselves. If they sound good, they'll read it. They'll read the book. You're hearing the author, and I keep talking about this one book because it was so great. Born Standing Up by Steve Martin. I've been talking about it nonstop, and people are sick of hearing it, but you need to go listen to this book because it's Steve Martin narrating basically his whole life story.
Oh, his whole life?
His whole life story, how he got into show business when he was a kid, how he learned magic, and what it was like. He actually developed, I don't want to ruin it, but he had like a debilitating
Really?
psychological fear. No, I'm
Of
serious
what?
about that. I don't want to say what it
Well, I
is,
wanna
but
know.
it limited. Yeah, well, listen to the book. And the way this works is they have a free app for the iPhone, iPad, Android, Windows Phone. And they've got over 150,000 titles to choose from. And unlike streaming or rental service, like you get the book, you own the book. It's now yours. You don't have to stay, you don't have to like continue to pay. That book is yours. It's really yours forever. And if, you get My Library, access your books anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone. It syncs back and forth. You start listening to the book on your phone, and then you listen to it on your computer, and then your iPad and your Android device. It syncs up. It knows where you are. Yeah, you keep going. Tons of great features. So they have a special URL for this show. And it's of course, it's the best URL ever. audiblepodcast.com/Dan sent me. audiblepodcast.com/Dan sent me. You're going to get a free 30-day trial, and you go there, 150,000 titles. Go check this out. I'm serious. audiblepodcast.com/Dan sent me. Thank you very much, Audible, for supporting the show. Here you go, Hattie.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Russell Brand is coming on next. But before we do that, there's one other thing that's a bit of news, couple bits of news that I think are really interesting, that I found that I thought were worth talking about. First of all, I'm very, very happy to hear there is a new sci-fi series. I'm always looking for good things to watch. I know that you have started to watch.
I have.
One of our favorite, collectively here at 5x5, one of our favorite shows,
House of Cards.
House of Cards. And I plan to
excited.
watch at least 7-8 episodes of it in the next 2 or 3 hours, because it's that good. I'm enjoying it.
It is that good.
Well, not to be outdone by itself, Netflix has a new sci-fi series coming from the Wachowskis. Have you ever seen any of the Matrix movies?
I
You
have.
seen the Matrix?
Yes.
They did those.
Oh.
And June 5th is when this program is coming out. And it's Orange is the New Black is coming back. Sense8 is this sci-fi story. And it's been in development since 2013. And here's what it says. It says it follows 8 so-called sensates, who are individuals linked to one another through technological means after a tragic accident. That's my kind of show.
Yeah, I already like that.
Anything that involves technology and a tragic accident, I'm on board for that. And so I'm excited about that. We also have the director of the new Spider-Man movie that we've been talking about also has been announced. And again, it's like they keep trying to do Spider-Man and they keep getting it wrong. But I think we've got a chance here this time. Have you seen that movie, Cabin in the Woods? Did you see that movie, Cabin in the Woods?
I have not seen that movie.
I also have not seen it, but I know that it's amazing. I've seen clips from it. People are going crazy over it. Well, Drew Goddard, who directed that movie, is directing the new Spider-Man film. Of all places, Latino Review is reporting this. They broke the news. Good for them.
Good for them.
He's not only directing, he's writing it.
Oh, wow.
It'll be in theaters in 2017. And he was originally going to be directing the standalone Sinister Six spin-off, which is this is kind of what leads to Spider-Man joining the Avengers. Did you know he's a member of the Avengers? Did you know that?
I don't think so.
He is that. Sinister Six is Spider-Man's like sort of all of his enemies all at once, kind of together, working together. So if you go back and it's always led by Doc Ock. You know who Doc Ock is,
I
right?
do. I do know who Doc Ock is.
Do you know him from the movies or from the comics? More.
Well, now I'm not sure. I think what my very first time to see him was in the movies, but then you started telling me more and more about, can I ruin the consciousness moving over?
I think by now.
Okay.
So she's talking about Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That in Superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock had taken over Peter Parker's body, transferred consciousnesses with him.
So now that's kind of replaced the other one in my mind.
In current comics, Doc Ock is dead. He's gone. He's kind of alive in an alternate universe, as still in Peter Parker's body. As Superior Spider-Man, he's still around doing that. That's a whole long other story. Anyway, the original Sinister Six is Doc Ock, and you've got Vulture, Electro, Kraven, Mysterio, and Sandman. That's the original Sinister Six. I know you know all those guys are.
I do.
And so anyway, that's what the movie is going to be about, apparently. So I'm excited. I'm more excited to see that than the standalone Spider-Man movie. We'll see. I can't believe Russell Brand is here.
I know.
I'm very excited about that. So and the last piece of news that I wanted to talk about. Oh, there's 2 more things. Tinder. Are you a member of Tinder? Are you doing anything with Tinder? I know that you're sort of on the dating scene.
I am not
using Tinder.
No, I do not use any online dating things.
Well, there is a version of Tinder now, a premium service that will charge you more if you're 28 years old or older. It's launched in the UK,
Keeping the
but the
cougars
price, the price varies depending on title, depending on your age. So you have like, if you pay, it's like $6 for Tinder Plus. You get unlimited likes, which I think is really important, and the ability to go back on your last swipe if you did something bad, you can undo it. But if you are 28 years old, you got to pay $23 for this. $23. They're going to feel a lot of backlash from this.
Yeah,
That is
was the
not
best
okay.
idea.
Why should you be penalized for your age? That's ageism, Hattie. Well, here's the deal. Tinder doesn't, obviously they don't want old people,
Old
28
people.
years old, old people of the year 28 and older. They don't want them. We don't know if this will still be like this here in the US, but in the UK, that's what they don't want that. They want people who are addicted to the platform.
Right.
They want people who can't stop using it, who are obsessively using it. Have you ever used Tinder?
I've never even seen the app before. Like, I've heard of it, but I've never seen
Not
it.
a Tinder user.
I know there's swiping involved or something. Is that it? Is that right?
I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
I'm not involved with it. I have no reason to use it. Maybe I should, but now I'll have to pay $23 to use it if I'm in the UK. E-cigs. Apparently, it's ridiculously easy for teenagers to buy e-cigs online. They did a study in North Carolina, and you have to go through age verification if you're in North Carolina. But more than 90% of vendors failed to verify the ages. And the teenagers, 75 out of 98 of them were able to put orders right through. And e-cigs apparently they don't have the side effects of like regular smoking with the bad smoke.
There's no
But
rat poison in
right,
them.
but you still get nicotine from it. And that's
So
a
it's like a
controlled
patch.
that's a controlled substance.
Ah.
That you have to be, old enough to do that in most states. So, if you're a teenager and you want to get your nicotine fix, do it online, and you can get them. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying it's apparently easy to get through. I'm going to save all the Android stuff and the watch stuff for when Russell Brand gets here. I didn't even know he was interested in that kind of thing. The last thing I'll tell you about today is Apple has released a public beta of OS 10, 10.10.3 with the new Photos app. And this is the kind of thing that I think it's interesting. Apple now releasing lots and lots of things in beta. And I'll tell you why I think that Apple is releasing so many things in beta. It's because I think they just want more and more people getting excited about what they're doing. And it works. Anyone can get the beta now. This is the first beta of OS 10.10.3. And in order to make use of the new Photos app in the public beta program, you've got to update to this. But there are a lot of people who have been talking about this, and it is much, much better than iPhoto. It's a great application. I've spent a very little bit of time with it, but I think this is exactly what people are waiting for. Managing photos it's a difficult thing. You've got lots of choices as far as how to do this. Lightroom is for pros. Your parents are pros, right?
They are pros.
What do
yes.
they use to manage their photos when they're out after a big shoot?
I think Lightroom, possibly Bridge. I know that they stopped working on Bridge, but I think they still really like it.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
So do you want to get Russell Brand on?
Yeah, let's give Russell Holly a call.
Okay. Should I be hearing it? Okay, there. I was a little nervous when I didn't hear it.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, you're on the air, Russell.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. I have to be honest. I was expecting a British accent.
That would be because you have the profile of an entirely different human being on your screen.
But you're being modest. You're being modest. I mean, comedian, actor, radio host, author, activist. There's a lot that you've done. I understand the modesty, and now you're in the Android space, which is cool. I love Android, and I wanted to talk to you about that. I'm just kidding. This is Russell Holly. He is one of the amazing writers of my favorite Android site, Android Central, the single place to go on the internet. I think if you're interested in anything to do with Android, you guys always have the best news, and you have it first. And it must be maddening, Russell, to keep up with the pace of news, especially in the Android space. You know, with Apple News, you basically have one company that's coming out with one thing at a time, usually. And, you know, there's little leaks here and there, but in the Android space, you've got the Mobile World Congress out now. You've got Samsung, HTC, so many different companies and new companies all the time that are coming out. And you guys have to stay on top of this. This is like a night and day kind of a job.
It is definitely a constant kind of thing, and we have an amazing team who is just very, very good at it. And it's the only way that it works is because there are so many of us who have just been doing this for a while.
How long have you been in the Android space?
I have been writing technology stuff for 5 years now. I started Android 4 years ago, and I only moved to Android Central this past year.
Nice. So are you like a single platform kind of guy? Like you spend all your time on Android, or do you run an iPhone as well, and do anything with iOS to kind of keep in both worlds, or what?
No, I use everything. I have my iPad sitting next to me. I have a Surface Pro 3 sitting on the table across from me. Mm-hmm. I have my hand in just about every cookie jar, just because it's fun. I love touching new things.
I think you have to, and you know, there are people for the longest time. I remember back in the old days of Apple, the dark times of Apple, when we as Mac users were very like defensive, and we're like, no, you got to understand, Macs are the best. They're the best thing in the whole world. You know, like this is where it's at, man. And we were like really worried that the company was going to go away anytime soon. And you'd go to the store, because we used to have to buy software in a physical store. So you'd like go to the physical store, and I'd be like, do you have any apps for the Mac? And they'd kind of chuckle and like, yeah, over there. And they'd send you to the back corner of the store where there'd be this shelf, and it'd be sort of rickety old shelf made out of balsa wood, you know, leaning to the side with like an old copy of, you know, of some application from 8 years ago, you know, the old version. And I'm like, oh, don't you have the new? Oh no, we don't really carry any Mac stuff anymore. Like no one uses
just a half
that.
open box of After Dark. And...
Yeah, that's right. and you know, and like we were very much second class citizens. And I think in many ways when Android first came out, it had a lot of catching up to do. And now, you know, it goes back and forth between which are the most the popular phones out there. Are they Android phones, or the Apple phones? And you know, I almost don't think that matters. Like to me, I used to be very much, I wouldn't say I was in the cult of Mac per se, but I very much believed strongly that Macs were better because I got the way they worked the way I wanted. And now I think it's clear that Apple makes the best computers. I really don't think there are people out there, unless they work at Dell, and Dell's right here in Austin. Unless you work at Dell, I don't think you're going thinking that there's a better computer out there. But I think in the phone space, it goes back and forth a lot. Is that something that you think, is that an accurate statement?
I definitely think that it goes back and forth a lot, and a lot of that has to do with the pace that you brought up earlier. You know, we're dealing a lot with a situation where there are so many different companies that are releasing devices across an entire year in an attempt to compete with Apple, who has got one product that they release every year right around the same time. And so, you know, you have companies that are now competing with one another,
right,
even though they both run Android,
yeah,
or they all run Android. They're releasing across an entire year. So there's always new advances in processors and displays and cameras, and you know you're stretching that out over a year instead of over a single launch. And so that's why I think you see so much of that back and forth.
One of the questions I have for you, I would say I've dabbled in the Android space more than I've used an Android phone for months at a time in the past. I enjoyed it, but for one reason or another went back to the iPhone. I
You almost switched.
I did almost switch, and
very recently. What phone were you using?
That was the HTC M8 one. That was the developer edition of that phone. I'll tell you what I didn't like about that phone. I still believe this, and this is the thing for me. I believe that Apple makes the best hardware out there. From what I've seen, I'm still in the 5S here. People make fun of me for that, but looking at what's going on in the Android space right now, I think they're giving Apple a run for its money. I mean, look at what just came out. There's the Galaxy S6, S6 Edge. I don't know about I don't know much about the HTC One M9, but maybe you can tell me about some of this kind of thing. Like what was announced the other day, and what's your analysis of it a few days later? What are your thoughts now that we've had some time to sort of let this digest?
Sure. So like you said, HTC and Samsung both made their kind of big flagship announcements for the year. Their big competitors, the iPhone, if you will. The first was the HTC One M9, which is an evolution of the M8, which was an evolution of the M7 before it.
Right.
And they all look very similar. Keeping this kind of similar design spec. So if you used the One M8, then you would be very familiar with how the One M9 looks and feels, with the kind of all metal body, with the big speakers on the front, and a big camera in the front, a big camera in the back, and just not a whole lot else that makes up the design to this phone. HTC is doing some stuff with two-tone metal for this design, for looks, but otherwise it's not a huge switch away from what they've been doing with design. On the other hand, Samsung made a huge leap away from the plastic that they have been infamous for.
Right.
With the Galaxy S5 and the so the Galaxy Note lines had been plastic for the longest time. And we saw with the Galaxy Note 4 that there was a little bit of metal, and Samsung was kind of testing the waters, but it still had a plastic back and was still pretty focused on that kind of glossy plastic look. The Samsung Galaxy S6 and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge are just completely different animals as far as the Samsung design language goes. It's glass on the front and back, metal all the way around the trim. The Galaxy S6 Edge has glass that curves off the side, and the screen actually follows it, so the display is curved on both sides of the phone, and the screen just kind of melts off the side of the phone. It
looks like a beautiful phone, and you know what? Mophie just announced today, I believe, that they have a Mophie case for the S6, right? And I think that's the first non-Apple phone that they've made.
Mophie, yeah.
That they made a case for, and that says a lot. It says obviously that they know that this phone's or they believe this phone's going to sell pretty well.
It's definitely going to be a big deal, and it was a necessity because these phones. This is the first Samsung, major Samsung phone whose battery couldn't just be replaced.
Right, and that was the thing that I was seeing a lot of people were reacting to, is that they're saying, "Oh man, I used to be able to pop the back off. I could get two batteries. I could take one with me on a trip, and well, now we've got a Mophie, so they're not as big of a deal." But isn't that just the trend, Russell, that this is just the direction that people are going when it comes to, that companies are going, rather, when it comes to making these phones, that it's easier for them to make a sealed device it's a one-piece device, it's a thing, and you know what? You're going to upgrade your phone in a year or two anyway, so no big deal. Oh, you need power when you're out? Get the Mophie for it.
Well, and it's not even so much that it's easier. It's becoming a requirement because of the needs of our users. The one thing that you hear from every single user when a phone comes out is, "I love how thin it is. I love how great it feels in my hand." And you can't have, Samsung couldn't go any thinner than what they did with the Galaxy S5 and still have the back removable,
right?
So that you could access that battery, because having the parts in there to allow the battery to slide into place is what takes up all of that space.
Right.
And so they were really kind of the last holdout. Like you said, it's been a growing trend. HTC has moved. Motorola has moved. There are a lot of different smartphone manufacturers over the past year who have shifted back away from these removable batteries. And Samsung making this decision is definitely a big one. But in order to keep up with this trend of kind of thin metal phones, it was necessary.
Well, I've heard also there were some people who were saying that if you look at this phone, especially the thing I was hearing the most is that the bottom of the phone.
Oh yeah,
You know where I'm going with this.
I do.
You're looking at this now, Hattie. Does that remind you of anything? The bottom
It
of this?
does,
What is
very
it? A little bit
similar.
like an iPhone 6.
A little bit, yeah.
It's more than a little bit. Let's be perfectly honest. That is
That
is straight
the-
out of Apple's playbook.
Yeah.
I mean, it really surprised me when I saw it on the bottom. And in fairness, it's that bottom part is the only part that I would say, definitely looks like it's from an iPhone. But yeah, that design is definitely only found in one other place, and it looks nice. But it is far from an original thought, in my opinion.
And there are other ways that they could have done this. Samsung has this whole history of, being accused and in many cases accused and proven that they were borrowing, if you will, stealing, if you will, from... So here I've got, if you're watching this live, this is a picture of I think this is the 6 Plus, but you get the idea that this is, this is essentially,
similar.
it's the same type thing. Is it a simple case, Russell, that this is just the best way to do it? And this is a natural, the first person who invents a car, I'm not saying I believe this, I'm just throwing this at you. You invent a car, you say, you know what? People are putting 4 wheels on these, so we're just going to stick with the 4-wheel thing. And you know what? Eventually, you have to have an engine, so you put that here, and you got to have an exhaust that comes out the back. Is this just simply the natural evolution, or is this a flat out Samsung saw this and said, we're going to do the same thing here? What's the story?
I mean, there's 2 schools of thought when it comes to this particular design decision. The first is that, every single company can't reinvent the wheel because you end up with a whole bunch of really ugly wheels and one really good one. But at the same time, this is not a new thing that Samsung has been accused of, like you said, and it goes way back before Android. The Samsung Blackjack,
Right.
BlackBerry. Sued them so that the name had to be changed to the Samsung Jack. The first generation of Samsung Android phones looked curiously like the Palm Pre when it came out, and then the design language started shifting more towards the stuff that was happening with Apple, and so now we've got this. So I mean, it's there are 2 schools of thought from what I've seen, people responding via social networks, but it is not easy for me to look at the bottom of that phone and go, yeah, you guys totally did that accidentally.
Right. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about, I mean, on the one hand, if I'm wanting to jump in the Android world right now, I've got a bunch of choices. Obviously, I've got the Samsung S6, but for me, I want to go as close to pure stock Android as I can. And the reason why is I've got an Nexus 7, which I really enjoy. I like using
You
that
love
tablet.
that thing.
I do like that thing. And I use it a lot. I do not like, as a general rule, I do not like what the carriers do, and I certainly don't like what the manufacturers do. I felt like the HTC One, I was more it was less of a diversion from Android. But the Samsungs that I've used, they've got their own thing. What's going to be the best phone for me to get right now in the Android space? If you had to pick one of them, not forgetting my preference for the sort of pure developer edition, and just saying, you know what?
This is the best thing out there.
This is the best thing out there right now. What's the best thing out there? And let me say, when I say best, I mean camera, because I take a lot of pictures. I've got 2 kids. They run fast. And I want to take pictures of my kids in medium light and have it not be blurry. This 5S will do that. So
sure. I mean, as far as camera goes, the best that is out there right now ends up being Samsung.
The S6.
For something you can walk in and buy off the shelf right now would be the Note 4, but the S6 is going to have very similar camera technology to the Note 4. So there's an expectation there. While we don't know, we haven't spent enough time with it to make that claim. There's a reasonable chance that it'll be as good or better than the Note 4. And that's, Samsung has put a lot of effort into their camera tech in order for that to happen, which is a shame because my personal favorite in the Android devices right now is the Moto X 2014 because it is close to stock Android, but the camera just can't compete with much of anything, unfortunately.
You know, that's the thing that I like so much is, you know, you mentioned the Moto X. That's a phone that I've spent some time with that I really like. And I'm with you. You know, like, I just want to use the best device out there. Hattie, I just want the best device out there.
I know you do. I know you do.
I don't care. I don't care who makes it. I just want the best device out there. And I feel like, you know, for me, again, it comes down to you want a phone that's fast. I want a phone that doesn't the S6 have the special charging where you can put it right down on top of the pad and it charges it? Is that
wireless charging?
Yeah. I mean, these are the places that we want to go. Apple will get there, but it's going to take another 2, 3, 4 years probably before we see this stuff in an iPhone. We can have it now on the Android side. The other thing that makes Android so appealing to me in this space, I've got to tell you, is what's going on in the wearable space. I can't wait to see an Apple Watch firsthand. Very excited to see that. But there are some Android Wear watches that are out there right now that are really great.
They seem to be making you a little bit more excited than the Apple Watch.
Because, you know, here's the thing. I'm an old-fashioned, when it comes to things that I wear, I'm old-fashioned. Do I say Huawei or Hawaii? Huawei.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
you definitely wouldn't know it by looking at those letters organized that way,
Huawei.
But that is how you pronounce that word.
This watch is blowing me away. I really, really like this thing.
So pretty.
Have you seen these things firsthand, or have your people?
I have not, but Phil and the rest of the team are in Barcelona, and we've got hands-on with lots of pictures for both the Huawei watch and the LG Watch Urbane, which are both, you know, kind of round traditional watches with the screens baked in. And it's something that, you know, when the Moto 360 first got announced, one of the big things that started this kind of trend in that direction was the appreciation for the kind of classic looking round watch. And not just because it's a round casing, but the watch faces that come with it, people can have traditional looking watch faces so that it doesn't look like you have a weird computer on your wrist when you're not using it as such. And that's something people appreciate. And it is one of those things that it's caught me by surprise when I saw Apple's design, because I could have sworn before that event that that Apple was going to do something round. And to have not done that, you know, really caught me by surprise.
It really caught me by surprise too. And I'll tell you what, for me, it just like my phone, it's a phone first and a computer in my pocket second. And I love the fact that it's a computer in my pocket, and I use that more than I use the phone part of it, but I do use the phone part of it, and in my mind, I think of it as a phone.
And you want it to function like a phone the best way that it can.
Right. I don't think of it as like an iPod Touch that can also make calls. Like, I think of it full on, it's a phone. It's a phone. Okay, so I've got this as a phone. This thing on my wrist is going to be a watch. So the watch that I'm wearing right now, I said at the top of the show, this is a Timex. It's a Timex watch. I think I paid $30 for it. They sell them at Target. You can get them on Amazon. We don't have a Zoom camera here yet. We need to get a camera operator here. But this is it's a very basic watch. You know, the ones that I'm seeing, the Huawei, and those are not that much thicker than this.
No.
They're probably a little bit heavier. Why do you think Apple chose to do it in a, you know, rectangular shape instead of in a circular shape, Russell? Why? Why is that?
So I actually didn't have a good answer for this until very recently when Phil, the editor-in-chief of Android Central, sat down with the editor-in-chief of our sister site, iMore, and talked about the Apple Watch. This was a podcast that happened last week, and in it, Renee brought up a really good point, which was, you know, Apple has always taken their kind of purpose design and done this whole rounded rectangle thing. You know, when the iPhone first came out, when the iPad first came out, and as far as Apple is concerned, it is very much a function and style hybrid. You know, when the iPhone was released, it was pitched to us as an iPod that could make calls. You know, when the iPad was sold, it was sold as, you know, kind of this larger form for consumption. And so the watch, is just a continuation of that design. It's in Apple's mind, it's not a watch that does other things. It is a
Right.
computer on your wrist that tells time.
Right.
And so they led with that design, and putting myself in the perspective of the different Apple launches throughout the last couple of years, that design started to make more sense from Apple's perspective.
Hmm.
But I'm still not convinced that it's a design I'm going to be personally happy with.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like there's definitely this aspect of tradition, and I don't think that that people who've never worn a watch before will care about it quite as much as maybe people like us care about it, or people who have a long history of of enjoying a round watch. For me, a watch should be round. Now, I mean, I had the square Casios; those aren't perfectly round. I had the calculator Casio, and that's not perfectly round. But if I'm going to be like in my mind, there's this thing that says like I want a watch that is a watch first. I want it to be, to do a watch, the kinds of things that a watch does. I want it to do those things. I want it to do them beautifully, and very well. So these watches are actually appealing to me, but just like you need an iPhone to really do anything at all meaningful with the Apple Watch, you need an Android phone to do anything meaningful with an Android watch.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Right now, it's limited to Android, and we may see Google shift from that a little tiny bit in the future. We saw that with Google Glass, where there was an iOS companion app for Google Glass that came out later. So it's certainly not impossible in Google's kind of wearable spectrum for that to change. It also wouldn't surprise me if Google's just waiting for Apple to announce the watch to make that particular announcement, just
really?
as a kind of competitive edge for the launch of that. I obviously have nothing to back that up, but it would be an interesting move on Google's part, and
Right.
I think that it's necessary. I think that limiting Android Wear to Android is a mistake long term for Google.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's, as long as you are comfortable with running, Google Now on your iPhone, that there is nothing that would limit your ability to interact with and connect one of these watches. And I think right now it has to be a selling point, though, on the Android side to say, yeah, these watches are great. We've got them out here. They only work with an Android phone, so go get yourself an Android phone. I mean, I don't think that there's an advantage for Huawei in doing that, but there's certainly an advantage for Google and Android as a whole to say these things work well together, and we can give you the best experience with this. I don't think the Apple Watch will ever, and I mean that in the true sense, I don't think it will ever be compatible with an Android phone. I don't think that'll ever happen.
No,
Never.
I wouldn't say that that's something we can say pretty certainly isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But with Google, it's important to keep in mind two things. The first is that, almost all of Google's apps have a place in iOS, and they all run really well.
They do.
I run a bunch of them on my iPad, and they all run really well. But also, Google performed a serious overhaul of their entire notification system with this most recent release of Android, with Android 5.0. And it's entirely possible that, the reason we haven't seen Android Wear on another platform is, the dealing with that particular integration took priority.
Yeah.
As more Android 5.0 devices become available, making sure that was something that worked well became a priority. And again, that's not something that I know for sure, but it based on what I've seen so far, it really seems like that would be the direction Google would head in.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. The last thing I want to ask you before I let you go, if you were trying to, jump into this space right now, and you're sitting there, and I'm not just saying just in the Android space, but in the iOS space, the Apple Watch coming out, what's your advice for people who are listening to this who are thinking, I really want to try one of these smartwatches? They're not available really anywhere. It's not like you can just walk into a store and try one of these things. You know, you can go to your local Verizon store, AT&T store, T-Mobile store. They're going to have a full range of phones, but these phones, obviously the ones that are just announced, they're going to take a while to come out there. But if people are interested in, like, I would like to experiment with an Android watch, with a wearable, where should they go? How do they go and do this? They just have to cross their fingers and hope that the Huawei that they pre-order is going to work. You know what I mean? Like, how do they do that? There isn't an Apple Store experience for most of these kinds of devices right now.
Well, for a bunch of them, there is. Samsung and Microsoft both have experiences inside of Best Buy stores. And in keeping with that same kind of setup, there is a separate aisle in most Best Buy stores now for wearable devices, and they're kind of set up and powered for people to go in and plug. It's not specifically Android Wear, but you can see like the Asus ZenWatch and the Moto 360. And
I've now in ours that it wasn't there. But,
yeah, maybe we just have
so
really...
so you're saying this is coming to all? You're telling me all Best Buys are going to have this very soon?
The last 3 that I've been in, as limited as that scope of data is, have had this particular aisle, and I know that my local Best Buy has had that aisle for almost 6 months now.
All right,
so it would make sense
it
that
should
that
become
would roll out.
Maybe I'm going to the wrong Best Buy.
You just need to come to my Best Buy. It's fine. Everyone needs to come to my Best Buy. The other thing to keep in mind with the LG Watch Urbane is that we will see versions of that watch show up in carrier stores.
Oh, really? So that's such a huge advantage that'll be available that way. That's great.
And we did see Verizon had the very first generation of Android Wear watches were available in Verizon wireless stores. So that was the LG G Watch and the Samsung Gear Live, I believe, were the names of those two. And I don't know that any of the other watches got moved into carrier stores. But this is something that, as these devices grow in popularity, the carriers are going to want to have them in stores to sell them as add-ons.
Right.
So
yeah, while you're here getting your phone, pick up a watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and because, the accessory markup for those stores ends up being pretty significant. But, so I would not be at all surprised to see more of that. But you're right. There isn't, kind of an Apple experience kind of place where you can walk in and see, kind of the entire Android Wear lineup. And I think that would be hard to do given the amount of companies that are involved now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, to get one from each of these different companies together in one space is a lot of work. Just to work with those companies and create the partnerships and the distribution and all of that. So we may never see it. Listen, I want to say thank you very much to you, Russell. Where can people go to find out more about you and about your work and your writing and follow you on Twitter? What's the best way for them to do that?
I am at Russell Holly pretty much everywhere. Google Plus is the place where I am mostly social, but I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, and you can catch all of my writing at Android Central.
Very, very cool. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
I sure do appreciate it.
Me.
Take care.
Bye.
He's super smart.
Yep.
No English accent, but I mean, no one's perfect.
But he was married to Katy Perry, so.
I don't know. We let her go.
I know.
Let her go. I got to do a spot, and then I'm going to tell you why people are afraid of the show. I would like to say thank you very much to the 5-4. See, if I was smart, I'd open these things in tabs.
Right, before the show.
Yeah. 5-4 Club. These guys are great because if you're male, there is a very large chance that you don't like shopping. And that's okay. Most men don't want to shop. They just don't. They don't want to shop. Well, 5-4 Club makes it so that you don't have to. They're a contemporary apparel brand. They're based out of Los Angeles. They were founded in 2002, and they alleviate the stress of shopping for men. But they provide value, style, and exclusivity all at the same time. You go to their website. You fill out this incredibly simple 9-step profile. It takes you about 60 seconds to do it. And you don't have to worry about shopping again. You give them a profile. How do you give them a profile?
Right, not all men are the same.
What would you say my profile is of these three? T-shirt and jeans, Dress to impress or business casual. Let me give you a description of the different ones, and you tell me which one I fit into. Okay. T-shirt and jeans is very casual, laid back. Then and they'd send you T-shirts and jeans, obviously, but they give you zip-ups, Henleys, long sleeve shirts, and once in a while, a button front shirt.
Nice.
Okay, so that's your choice A.
Just to throw in there, yeah.
Choice 2, they call dress to impress. It's a hybrid of T-shirt and jeans as well as business casual. This is the widest variety of items. You get a graphic tee, you get a cardigan, you get a bomber jacket. I got the bomber jacket.
You got the bomber jacket.
It's awesome.
You love that.
I love the bomber jacket. It's
really
good.
soft.
Like I don't know why I'm so surprised that I like it so much. And then business casual, more cardigans, no zip ups.
Right.
Okay. You're going to get like chinos. You're going to get a button down. They're calling button downs. We were told that they're called button fronts. That a button down. Okay, so
Right.
I need a close up camera.
Wait, is mine? But
this is a button down.
Mine is
Yours is just a button front.
button front.
Button down means the collar is buttoned
down.
A button front means
Like mine.
yes.
There's
What
buttons in
what
the
hat he's
front.
wearing? There are buttons
Buttons
in the front.
in the front. Which way?
Yeah, that one.
But see, these
But
are
not a
all-
button down. I for 41 and a half years got it wrong.
I think it's like the casual term.
I would say I'm the dress to impress hybrid. I'm the hybrid.
You're the hybrid, yeah.
I'm the hybrid. So you go and you put in your preferences, and you give them $60 a month. At first, you're like, well, $60 a month. Wait a minute. You get but you get $120 worth of clothes out of this.
They send you a lot
of stuff, and it's great. Oh, that one didn't fit. Send it back. They'll send you the right size. No big deal.
Easy.
NBD. $60 a month. You can do exchanges, and it's exclusive. You're only the people who are part of this can get this clothing. That's it. No one else.
You'll
can
be
get
the
this.
only one.
No
wearing
one
those
else can get
clothes.
this. So get a style. You know what? They're going to have to run with that. I'm just an idea guy.
Get a style.
Get a style. Okay? Let them give you a style because you don't have one. Get54.com, and it's spelled out. Get 5, FIVEFOUR.com. The offer code is DAN20 off, and that will get you $20 off. This is a good deal that you put together.
You're gonna
for
get
them,
that
Maddie.
that box for super cheap.
That's how much is that? $60.
40, right?
Minus 20 is only 40.
You're gonna
You're
get
going to get $120 of clothes for $40. Come on. You're a fool if you don't do this.
You also get a referral code. Did you know that?
How does that work?
You get when you sign up and you refer a friend, it gets them $15 off.
I like that.
Pretty cool.
Anyway, I think this would be a great gift. If you're a woman listening to this show, you get this for your poorly dressed boyfriend or husband.
It's a nice way to say.
And you know what you
dress
do?
better.
Here's the thing. Here's what you do. This is my idea. They're going to have to run with this a whole thing. But this is what you do. As a woman, Hattie, I think as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
you get this for your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
You get this box, right? You don't tell them you sign up for this.
No.
You don't do anything like that.
But you sign up with their name.
You sign up with your own name.
Oh.
It
super
comes to your
secret.
own house.
Okay.
And then over the course of the month, sweetie, I just bought you this new cardigan.
Oh, I like
just
that
bought
idea.
you this really cool T-shirt that I thought would be perfect for you.
And they're like,
You
you
don't even have
spent
to
like
lift the
$120.
Honey, where did you find time
I
to do
know.
this?
Huh.
Sweetie, how did you get
I'm
the
just
time?
the best
How did you know
girlfriend
my
ever.
style so well? None of my friends have this jacket. I have this jacket you bought, and it's my size.
How did you know?
How did you know? Anyway, they're going to have to run with this. Anyway, 5-4 Club, Dan 20 off. Go check it out. And I would like to tell you why people are afraid of this show. Because this is a problem. I already feel like this is a problem. The power of this show has already spread across the internet now. I thought it would take, I remember when I started the show, Hattie, I said it's going to take 6 months to get the show where I wanted to get, to be the powerful presence on the internet that it needs to be, but we're already there.
We are?
People are afraid to come on the show now.
Really?
No, I'm 100% serious. People are terrified to come on the show because they're afraid of the effect it could have on their company and their products and services. Not a positive effect. Positive, not negative. Don't start being negative. I invited. I can't get into who it is because they're so scared.
I thought you said it on the last episode.
I can't say who it is because they're so scared of me. But what I said is I said, come on the show and we'll talk about this stuff that you're working on. They're so worried that something will leak on the show before they're ready for it to leak because they know everybody's listening to this show now. Everyone's hearing this show. And if they say something on this show, it
that
will
means
be
like the world
will know.
Yeah.
We are the ears of the world right here. And the people listening to this show are not only the smartest, most intelligent and successful people in the world, but they're also the most in the know.
Yeah.
And this is what they told me. They said, your show is already too important and special that we can't be on it yet because we have to wait until we're ready. We can't take the risk of something leaking on the show. So but that's all right. You know what?
It's okay.
This is the kind of responsibility that I can bear this. You know what I'm saying? I'm strong enough as a person to bear this.
To carry the load.
The shoulder, the brunt.
The burden.
The burden. Anyway, that's pretty much our show for today. I know you want me to talk about MetaCDN, and I would like to do that. But I'm going to wrap that into this final thing.
I think that's great.
When I started this show, I knew, Hattie, that we were going to be doing video. I wanted very much to... Yeah, hand me that. This is Hattie's computer. I would like these on note cards instead of handing... Well,
I don't have a pen, and the note cards are way over there.
Yeah, they are far away. But I would like to have little note cards, and we can give them out as souvenirs when we have our live in-studio audience.
Sign them.
We do have a place for a live studio audience right there. You see?
Like 3.
We could fit
maybe
a good,
2.
We could fit
maybe
a good
4.
3 people in here.
If you move the pillows, 4 people.
And I knew that I wanted to do live streaming, and I knew that I wanted to do it better than anybody else doing because this is the best show, right? If for the best show, you need the best live streaming. I mean, that makes sense. So I went to the MetaCDN folks, metacdn.com. And I said, you guys are doing the best. They have CDN, but I said, you're doing the best live streaming I've ever seen. Brian Brushwood, I think, is who is doing that. And I said, I've got to work with you guys. They have low latency streaming. You can engage with your user base in real time, right? So you're watching this live right now. You can say something to us in chat or something. You're seeing this live as it happens. Like it's happening. Hattie, it's happening right now.
Right now.
They've got mobile phone support, and they do something that's really smart. The unused credits roll over into the next month. So you're as you spend money with them to do your live streaming, to do your CDN stuff, like that carries over. So you're never wasting money. Detailed analytics, content protection, and it's basically video on demand hosting. They're amazing what they do. And if you're watching this live, like I hope you are at 5 p.m. Eastern time, you're going to see the video in crystal clarity. It's perfect. So they made a special URL for us. And I don't know how to say this. Just going to the URL, just going there supports this show. If you're too lazy to go give us an iTunes review, all right, that's fine. I still love you. If you you don't want to rate the show on iTunes, that's fine. Just go to the URL, metacdn.com/5x5. And if you enter the code 5x5 there, you will get a 10% discount for life.
For life.
metacdn.com/5x5. Support the show. That's it for today. Like I said, we're going to be doing a 5-day-a-week show, but not starting this week because on Wednesday this week, I'm going to dismantle Atlanta. I decided I'm gonna have note cards. And I don't even think I'm going to do slides. I was looking. Gary Vaynerchuk doesn't do slides.
Right, just one.
He doesn't do
static
slides.
slide of just like maybe like a rainbow or like I'm trying to think of the word.
It's unicorn.
No, I could draw it like that where it's just like the word pow and pop is in it usually, and it's just behind you. So when you're standing there giving your talk, you're enveloped in that.
No, I think that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, I'm doing that Wednesday. So we're traveling tomorrow through Thursday. So we'll be back on Friday. And then next week we go 5 days a week, I think. You just got to start lining up the guests better.
Better?
Yeah.
I got you.
You got me Russell
Lovely
Russell
guests.
Holly. I thought it was going to be Russell Brand. Can you tell that I'm working toward Katy Perry slowly?
Yeah, I know.
No one so far out of the listeners that we have, nobody has done the 6 degrees thing. And I'm a little disappointed in that, but we'll see what happens. I'm a little disappointed because I want 10 minutes of Katy Perry's time. That's all I'm asking. 10 minutes of her time. That doesn't seem like a lot. You have 10 minutes to spare. Someone wants to interview you. You have 10 minutes to spare in a day.
Well,
and you're very busy.
I
busy.
might have 10 minutes to spare.
All I'm saying is Katie has 10 minutes. I know it. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We will be back on Friday and then next week, 5 days a week. And we'll be, it's like that. Like when I do an interview, like a Katy Perry interview, we'll excerpt that and release that as its own thing. And I don't know. I have a whole bunch of segments. I've kind of been holding off on launching them because I want to do them once we start the 5 day. This is all kind of playtime for me right now. Right. This is experimental time, getting the rhythm of the show down.
Season 1. We haven't been picked up by the network yet.
Season 2 starts next week on Monday. We've got the segments down. We're going to have the guest line. We're going to have the whole thing done. It's going to be even better than it is right now. A variety show still, but different. And for the people who say they can't listen to an hour a week, shame on you. An hour a day, rather. Shame on you. But I'll be making a special compilation show just for you. So that's it. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. And wish me luck up there, Hattie.
Good luck,
a leg. Well, you're supposed to say break a leg.
Break a leg.
Break a leg.
I hope you don't break your leg, though.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. And we'll be back Friday. See you then. Dan
Bye.
Benjamin on Twitter. Dan Benjamin on Twitter. Patreon.com/5x5. Please support the show. Rate the show on iTunes. These are your tasks. This is your homework. It's like Fight Club. This is your homework. And that's it. We'll see you on Friday. And that is it for the audio show. What do you think of Hattie's new shot? This is our wide shot, and this is Hattie's new shot. What do you think of that? I can't get past I'm trapped back here behind the desk, though. I don't know if you can see it. No, they can't see it in the shot. But I'm
the
trapped.
Way you can't get out?
I can't get out because her camera
is literally at the end of your
way
desk.
up there. But we get a much better shot of you. All right, that's it. And I got to go.
I know.
I got to pack and everything.
I haven't packed. I haven't even washed my clothes yet.
Ooh.
Oops. No.
All right. Bye.